Hello and welcome to Daily Dose Radio, a 5-minute-a-day podcast studying the Psalms verse by verse, recorded here in the dining room of the Bible Bistro, located in Sharonville, Ohio. Hello there, my friend. How are you? Welcome back to Daily Dose Radio here in the Bible Bistro. So glad you've stopped by. This week especially, this week and next, we're going to be studying Psalm 37. So come on in here to the Bible Bistro, sit down with me at the table, get yourself something hot or cold to drink. Remember now, the Bible Bistro is 5 minutes a day, 5 days a week, studying the Bible verse by verse. That's what we do here on Daily Dose Radio, which is in the Bible Bistro. Hey, now I'm going to go a little bit longer today because I need to tell you about Daily Dose Radio and the history of the Bible Bistro and all things that are in the Bible Bistro, but mostly Daily Dose Radio because today's our anniversary. And if I had a choir here to sing happy birthday, I would, but my choir went away. I don't know if you've been following Daily Dose Radio for very long. I used to have a little gadget that I could turn on and off, and it had a little choir that sang happy birthday, but the battery died, so I don't have that anymore. Anyhow, let me just tell you a little bit about how all this got started. Since this is today, the 21st of March, it's our anniversary, and it's 9 years today. 9 years ago today, I started recording Daily Dose Radio. Back then, it was just Daily Dose. It wasn't until later on in that year, in 2013, it was 2013, when I began using Daily Dose Radio instead of just Daily Dose. I guess it was January of that year, I received a letter from a local radio station, and they were advertising, slots for religious broadcasters. And I had always been interested in doing religious broadcasting. I've done some in the past on radio, but it's been a long, long time ago. And so I felt like maybe the Lord was nudging me to seek that out again, that it would be good for the church that I pastor, and it would be good for me. And so I scheduled a visit with the radio station, and the director of the station, the general manager, took me around and gave me the tour, introduced me to some personalities that were there, showed me all the studios and so forth. And then we sat down in his office, and he closed the door, and he gave me the rate sheet. And when he gave me the rate sheet, I thought I was going to swallow my tongue because it was so expensive to broadcast, even just for a little amount of time on off-peak hours. It was still very, very, very expensive. And this radio station, it was a fine radio station, but it wasn't a powerful station, so I wasn't going to be reaching very far outside of my community. So I left that meeting very discouraged. I kept the rate sheet with me just to remember what they were asking. And so I began to at that time, I just forgot about it. I thought, well, the Lord's not in this. But he kept pestering me, the Spirit of God kept reminding me about it. And so I began investigating other ways in which I could teach and broadcast something. I didn't know what yet. I hadn't conceptualized Daily Dose Radio at all. I asked a friend, and he said, "Have you thought about podcasting?" Well, I had heard of it. Podcasting wasn't all that new. It was starting to become popular because the technology had caught up with the actual usage of podcasting. So I began looking into it, found Spreaker, a webpage, and investigated Spreaker, and began to talk to those folk and realized that I could, podcast on their platform. And I started out as a free, just come in here and podcast, and they gave me so much time, to do it, to, storage for the podcasts and so forth, and they would distribute the podcast. And I began looking at equipment. I knew I needed a microphone. I knew I needed a good computer. I knew that I needed several other things, a place to do it. I needed some sort of a habit, how you need that that motion, that habit, that everyday thing. And I knew I needed to figure that out, when I was going to do it, how I was going to do it, and so forth. So all of that eventually came all together. On March the 20th, I created sort of a test program. And then on the 21st, I just launched out into the deep and began broadcasting Daily Dose. At that time, just Daily Dose, but it was still the same format, 5 minutes a day, 5 days a week, studying the Psalms verse by verse. I've never deviated from that at all. So that's how it all began. And then from there, I started adding more places to distribute Daily Dose Radio to. Eventually, Spreaker cut a deal with iHeartRadio and told all the podcasters on their platform, look, if you will apply to iHeartRadio, and if they accept you, then we'll make you a special deal. And I went out to iHeartRadio, and I thought this would be great, because it's it was just starting up, and I thought this was going to have a lot of listeners, a lot of ears. So I had to apply 3 different times, because they rejected the bumper music, the opening and closing bumper music. So I had to tweak that, had to tweak some artwork, and then eventually they accepted Daily Dose Radio onto their platform. And when they did, Spreaker said to me, look, since you're now an iHeart podcaster, then what we want to do is we're going to give you a deal for the next 7-8 years. You'll just have our premium package, and it'll be free to you. And so I did that until this past January, when that deal ended, and I'm now paying a price for the storage and for the services that they offer me. They also, around that same time, offered to all their podcasters apps for the phone. So you could purchase an app for both Android devices and for your iPhone devices, the Apple devices. And so I purchased the apps, and they developed for me the apps. I gave them some artwork and so forth and things like that. And they kept up the apps for several years. Those are going away now. And I don't know when they will officially end, but I've been told that they're not going to maintain the apps any longer. So, and then there were just other things that came along. There were other distribution opportunities. And I began to tell everyone that I had a social media empire, because I was on Facebook and Twitter and SoundCloud and Stitcher and iHeartRadio, and then eventually came along some of the other ones that are popular today. Then there were others that just were sort of aggregating podcasts, and I found out that I was on those as well. And so now we're here at this point in the history of Daily Dose Radio, and it's been 9 years, and we've gone through the Psalms, studied the Psalms from Psalm 1:1 to Psalm 150, verse 6, twice completely, and now we're in the third, what I'm calling the volumes. So now we're in the third volume of Daily Dose Radio, and we're going to begin today with Psalm 37. And that's how it all started. This is our birthday week, and I'm so glad you've joined me. I hope it didn't bore you too much with all that history, but that's where it all began, and that's where we are today. Still on Spreaker. That's my platform. They're great people and great product. So glad to be there. And Spreaker has distributed me to so many other platforms that are looking to aggregate podcasters into their service. And so, I can't complain at all about the way that Spreaker's handled Daily Dose Radio. It's really been great. And, there is a certain amount of cringing when it comes to religious podcasts, because podcasts are so many other things. And there aren't that many religious podcasters out there. Well, I say not that many. I probably could have said that at the beginning, but now they're everywhere. But it seems to me that religious podcasting, especially Bible commentary podcasting, has limited itself, and it's not trying to, reach onto all the different platforms that it possibly could. So, being a part of iHeartRadio, also being on YouTube and Facebook and so forth, and these places, I'm reaching a larger audience now in 2022 than I was back in 2013. So it's been great, and I'm tickled every time I get to sit down at this microphone and record. So today we're going to look at Psalm 37, and let me get started because I've already used up 10 minutes of your time today, and I try to make this 5 minutes a day. I don't always get there. Sometimes I go way over, and sometimes I'm just shy of it, but I always try to hit about 5 minutes. So today we're looking at Psalm 37, and this week we're just going to study through, I think it's verse 20. Yep, verse 20. This is a longer psalm, so we're going to do it in two parts. This is a psalm of David. This is also an acrostic psalm, although it's not complete because we're missing the 16th letter of the Hebrew alphabet. Acrostics take a letter and then they'll begin a line of the passage with that letter starting a word, and then the next line or the next verse or the next set of verses will begin with the next letter in the alphabet, which begins a word, which then, so forth. So we have this as an acrostic psalm, and it is missing the 16th letter, so it's not complete, but it's still a wonderful psalm. As a matter of fact, Origen said of this psalm that it is the most precious medicine for the human soul, and surely it is. It surely is. We're going to look at that this week as we study Psalm 37. Now today I'm going to read verses 1 through 4. That's kind of a big bite because there's a lot here. In the first 8 verses of Psalm 37, we have what Spurgeon calls precepts. And I'm going to say we have 5 precepts plus 1. And I'll explain that as we go through here. But there are 5 precepts in these first 8 verses, and you'll understand what I mean and what Spurgeon means by precept as we go through the psalm together. So let me read for you 1, 2, 3, and 4 today here in Psalm 37. Fret not thyself because of evildoers, neither be thou envious against the workers of iniquity. For they shall soon be cut down like the grass, and wither as the green herb. Trust in the Lord and do good, so shalt thou dwell in the land, and verily thou shalt be fed. Delight thyself also in the Lord, and he shall give thee the desires of thine heart. So here we have the beginning of the psalm. This is a psalm of David. That's all we know about this psalm. It's a psalm of David. It's an acrostic psalm. And we begin with these words, Fret not thyself because of evildoers. Neither be thou envious against the workers of iniquity. Now the evildoers and the workers of iniquity and the wicked, they dominate this psalm. As a matter of fact, I would like to call this a battle psalm, because the wicked and the righteous are locked in combat in this psalm. But it's really not a fair fight, because the righteous have an ally in the fight who is mentioned over and over and over again, and that is the Lord. You'll notice that the Lord, in just the first, 4 verses that I read, we have the Lord mentioned by name twice. And so we'll see him all the way through here as he is supporting the righteous against the wicked, and as he is executing judgment upon the wicked. So we have this very first precept right here in verse 1, Fret not thyself because of evildoers. I really don't call this the first precept, and I'll tell you why in just a moment. But notice this language, Fret not thyself because of evildoers, neither be thou envious against the workers of iniquity, for, now here's the reason why you're not to fret, for they shall soon be cut down like the grass and wither as the green herb. So this happening that's going to happen to the wicked, we find it also in verse 9. That is, that they're going to be cut down like the grass. We find it again in verse 9. We find it in 17. We find it in 20. This is their true end. But we begin with the precept, don't fret. Fret not because of evildoers. There are a lot of people in this world that are wicked and lawless, and they're prospering, and they're flourishing. You know, it's not right for the dogs to get the finest meat while the children go starving. It's just not right. That's a little piece I picked up from John Mason Neal in his commentary on this particular psalm. It's not right that happens. It's not right that the lawless should ride on the horses and that the righteous should walk in the mud. It's not right. But don't fret over it. Fret not because of the evildoers. Don't be envious against the workers of iniquity. It's easy to look at all that they have. It's easy to see all the glitz and glam, all the gold and the silver that they surround themselves with. But ladies and gentlemen, that is all that they're ever going to have in this life. They're never going to have anything more than that. So don't fret, because they're going to be cut down like the grass and wither as the green herb. You see, no one envies the prize sow her ribbons and medals as she's being led off to the hammaker's smokehouse, because we know her end. And even though she's beautifully adorned with medals and ribbons, we wouldn't want to be her, because we know what's about to happen. So don't fret, because their end is coming. They're going to be cut down like the grass. Isaiah, in chapter 51 of his prophecy, says the very same thing. He says the young men are going to be cut down like the green herb. It's just they're going to be bound up, dried up, and burned up. That's exactly what's going to happen to them. But look at verse 3. Trust in the Lord and do good. This is why I call these principles here in the first 8 verses 5+1. Because trust in the Lord goes right hand in hand with fret not. You see, this is the best antidote for fretting, and that is trusting in the Lord and doing good. Don't let what you see others do and how they act pull you off track. Don't let that happen. Trust in the Lord. You can't see it. You say, I see injustice in the world. Well, trust in the Lord. Do good. Let the injustice ride on by. You just keep doing what you're doing. Do good and trust in the Lord. That's the best remedy for fretting and for envying. So that's why I say that we have 5+1. So I begin my list of precepts right here with trust. Trust in the Lord and do good, and you will dwell in the land, and verily you shall be fed. You say, how can I be fed when the wicked licks up all the grass? No, you will be fed. Trust in the Lord. Do good. He'll take care of you. He's on your side in this. Remember that. Delight yourself also in the Lord. Here's the second precept in my list. Delight thyself also in the Lord, and he shall give thee the desires of thine heart. So the Lord himself is going to do something for you, but the precept is you need to delight in him. Not to delight in your envying and your jealousy and your desire to have all that the wicked has. No, leave that alone. Trust in the Lord and do good. Even though your trust is happening during a time of poverty or strife or famine, trust in the Lord. He'll take care of it. You'll be fed, and the Lord will give you the desires of your heart. Now, if the desire of your heart is to have what the wicked have, he's not going to give you that. And he's not going to give you those riches that you so desire. He's going to give you exactly what you need. He's going to feed you. He's going to keep you. He's going to provide for you. The desires of your heart, what should they be? They should be the Lord and his person. They should be his goodness and the promotion of the gospel. They should be, the Word of God growing in your heart. Don't let any other desire steal its way in and rob you of the victory that he wants to give you. So these are the first 2 precepts, trust in the Lord and delight thyself also in the Lord. Tomorrow we're going to look at 3, 4, and 5, and we'll read verses 5 through 8 here on Daily Dose Radio. Thanks for listening to Daily Dose Radio. For more fresh and delicious Bible studies, podcasts, books, and more, Check out the Bible Bistro online and on YouTube. Join me again next time for Daily Dose Radio.